this slide, we're going to be talking about the intrinsic conduction system of the heart and how the heart generates electrical impulses, allowing it to pump as a single unit. So, cardiac muscles can contract on their own without a signal from the nervous system, meaning the nervous system does not require to send signals to the heart in order for it to pump. The heart is capable of generating its own electrical impulses in order for it to contract as a single unit. So what allows the heart to pump as or to generate electrical impulses and allow it to pump blood is the intrinsic conduction system. It sets the basic rhythm of the beating heart by generating impulses that stimulates the heart to contract. Now, the intrinsic conduction system, also known as the cardiac conduction system, is a specialized network of cardiac muscle cells that are responsible for initiating and coordinating the contraction of the heart. This system consists of several components, but the major components are the sinoatrial node, which is located in the upper right atrium. In this region here, this is the sinoatrial node, and this is the atrioventricular node. So this system consists of several components, including the sinoatrial node, the atrioventricular node, and the muscle fibers. So the sinoatrial node is the small cluster of cells located in the upper right atrium. The yellow color node. This is called the sinoatrial node. It is located in the upper right atrium of the heart. It is often referred to as we all know, the pacemaker of the heart, because what it does is that it generates electrical impulses that initiates each heartbeat, or that allows each heartbeat to be generated. The electrical impulses generated by the sinoatrial node, this here, will spread throughout the atria, causing them to contract and pump the blood into the ventricles. Now, this whole procedure is to allow for the heart to pump blood to the rest of the body. So first off, the sinoatrial node, what it does is that it generates electrical impulses. These impulses will spread throughout the atria, causing them to contract and pump the blood into the ventricles. After the electrical impulses passes through the atria, they will reach the AV node, also known as the atrioventricular node. The node in green color, as it can be seen in the diagram here, the AV node, which is located in the lower part of the right atrium. Now, the AV node, what it does is that it slows down the electrical impulses to allow the ventricles to fill with blood before they contract. So the sinoatrial node generates electrical impulses, and these impulses will make the atria contract. And when atria contracts, what happens is that it will pump blood into the ventricles. So the AV node's main function is that to delay the signal by 0.1 seconds so that the atria can empty its blood contents completely before the ventricles can contract. So and then the electrical impulses will travel through the specialized group of muscle fibers that extends from the AV node into the ventricles. As can be seen here, these are the electrical impulses being transmitted to the ventricles, and finally the ventricles will contract to pump blood to the rest of the body. Once the electrical impulses reaches the ventricles, they will spread rapidly through the specialized muscle fibers, which are responsible for rapidly transmitting the electrical impulses throughout the ventricles. This rapid transmission of electrical impulses is what causes the ventricles to contract, and when the ventricles contract, the blood will be pumped out of the heart and into the circulatory system. The intrinsic conduction system ensures that the heart beats in a coordinated manner and efficient manner, allowing for optimal pumping of blood to the body's organs and tissues. Now, any disruptions in the conduction system functioning can lead to problems with the heart rhythm and cardiac output, which can have serious consequences for the overall health. Meaning, if the sinoatrial node, for instance, stops working, what happens is that usually doctors will implant an artificial pacemaker in order to generate appropriate electrical impulses, allowing the heart to beat and contract to pump blood through the body. For instance, abnormalities in the sinoatrial node functions can cause a condition known as sinus node dysfunction. Abnormalities in the sinoatrial node function can cause a condition known as sinus node dysfunction, which can result in an irregular heartbeat or a slower than normal heart rate. Similarly, dysfunction in the AV node or the muscle fibers can also cause the heart to beat too slowly or irregularly, causing arrhythmias, which basically means irregular beating of the heart. In some cases, medical interventions, as I mentioned earlier, can be necessary to correct the problems with the intrinsic conduction system. For example, a pacemaker can be implanted to regulate the heart rhythm and ensure that the heart beats at a normal rate and pumps adequate amounts of blood to the rest of the body. So on this slide, we'll be talking about the sequence of electrical events that takes place during a heartbeat, which is regulated by the natural pacemaker of the heart, as I mentioned earlier, known as the sinoatrial node, and a complex of network of specialized muscle fibers. So we'll start off. Here is a simplified overview of the electrical events. So in step one, what happens is signals from the sinoatrial node will spread through the atria. So the electrical signal originates in the sinoatrial node, which is located in the upper right atrium of the heart. The sinoatrial node generates electrical impulses spontaneously, acting as the natural pacemaker of the heart. These impulses causes the atria to contract. The electrical impulses will then travel through specialized muscle fibers to reach the atrioventricular node. In step two, here in the AV node, the signal will be delayed by 0.1 second, so that the atria can empty its contents before the ventricles contract. So the electrical impulses will travel through specialized pathways known as the uh, uh, specialized pathway mediated by muscle fibers to reach the atrioventricular node. Then what happens is that the AV node is located between the atria and the ventricles. It will act as a gatekeeper, as I mentioned earlier, delaying the electrical signal for a brief moment to allow the atria to contract fully before transmitting the impulse to the ventricles. After the AV node, the electrical impulse will travel down the muscle fibers or specialized muscle fibers and will split into two branches, left and right. The left bundle will branch and the right bundle will branch. These branches, what it does is that it will sort of allow the ventricles to contract. The bundle branches further, divides into a network of fibers, which are basically the specialized muscle fibers extending throughout the ventricles. The electrical impulses will then rapidly spread through the fibers, causing the ventricles to contract forcefully and pump, and the heart will be stimulated to pump blood out of the heart. After contraction, the electrical activity will subside, allowing the heart muscles to relax. This period is known as the diastole, during which the heart fills with blood again in preparation for the next heartbeat. And when the heart contracts, it is called the phase is called systole. And during diastole or systole, and during diastole, what happens is that the heart fills with blood again, and during systole, the heart pumps blood. So signals from the sinoatrial node will spread through the atria, making them contract in unison, and then the signals will then be delayed at the AV node. Now the signals or the electrical signals are carried by the muscle fibers in the AV node, and at the AV node, it's where the signal will be delayed, so that the atria can empty its contents and pump all the blood into the ventricles, and then the specialized muscle fibers will pass the signals to the ventricles or to the heart apex, which is basically located on the left side of the heart. Signals will spread throughout the ventricles, making them contract, and finally the blood will be pumped out of the heart to the rest of the body.